Hi, I'm Susan Willis, and I want to introduce you to our greenhouse roses, starting here with Peggy Martin. As you can see, Peggy Martin's a multi-stemmed woody vine with a trailing habit of growth. It features clusters of fragrant deep pink flowers and dark green foliage. It's excellent for cutting and bringing indoors. When the devastating hurricane hit Louisiana in 2025, Peggy Martin was a woman living in Plaquemine Parish, which is located southeast of New Orleans. When Martin returned to her home after the flood, she found two plants surviving in her garden after being submerged in salt water for 2 weeks. And one of them was a climbing rose. And it had been started from cuttings, and so she did not have a name for it. William Welch, who's a professor and Texas AgriLife horticulturist, was a guest of Martin's right before the hurricane, and he had taken cuttings of the rose. He's a 3-time alumnus of LSU. Go Tigers. And he was really fond of this climbing thornless rose. And after the hurricane, he wanted to do something to give back to the area that was devastated by the storm, and do something for Peggy as well. So he propagated and sold the plant, naming it the Peggy Martin Rose. Some of the profits went to restoration fund for the historic Gulf South Gardens devastated by the hurricane. The second rose we have here is Souvenir de Sainte Anne, and it's a bourbon rose, and you can see right there. It was originally bred in England by Thomas Hilling and was found in St. Anne's Park in Dublin. The pale pink petals are very fragrant, and it's an excellent choice for mass plantings and borders. It was Earth Kind Rose of the Year in 29 by selected by the Texas AgriLife Extension Service. It was introduced in 1950. It's bushy, and it gets about 3 feet by 3 feet, what you see here. And the full blooms are light pink, semi-doubles, and it blooms successively in spring, summer, and fall. This next rose we have is Julia Child's, called Fred's Rose, and it's, as you can see, it's a beautiful rose. This is my favorite. It's a floribunda, and it's a very old-fashioned rose, very full bloom, very rounded. The bush is about 3 feet by 2 feet, and you can see this is a full-grown bush here. Bright golden yellow flowers with glossy green foliage, and it's excellent disease resistance. Our next rose is Mrs. Deadly Cross, and it's a tea rose. It was introduced in 1907, and it's hard to believe looking at them now, but it was declared the Yellow Rose of Texas by the Extension horticulturist Greg Grant and his Rose Committee during the 1980s, after they sampled a group of heirloom roses found in the San Antonio area. And actually, when it opens up, it is yellow and has pink just on the very edges. But these have turned very pink as they have aged. It's a special feature. It is virtually thornless and is resistant to black spot. The next one you can't see a whole lot. It's an Archduke Charles, and it's a China rose. It was introduced in France by Jean Lafay about 1825. It's pink, and as it ages, it turns crimson. It has a mild fragrance, cluster flowered, double blooms, and it blooms throughout the season. It's almost thornless. And when it's full grown and healthy, it can be up to 5 feet by 3 feet. And just a note in history, Archduke Charles was the father of Emperor Franz Joseph, who was the longest serving monarch in Europe. The next one we have is Madame Antoine Marie, and she's a tea rose. It's named after the wife of the breeder, and I think that's terribly unfair because his name was Antoine Marie, and so it doesn't really seem like it's named after her. But it has dark rose petals. You can see by the buds, they start out dark, and then as they mature, they turn much lighter. It's the Earth Kind Rose of the Year for 2008, a double bloom, and it has successive flushes of bloom throughout the summer, the spring, summer, and fall. And the new growth you can see is maroon, so it's quite pretty. Okay, on the other side here we have Buff Beauty. And Buff Beauty is a hybrid musk. Sorry. It was introduced in Great Britain in 1939. It was the Royal Horticultural Society's Award of Garden Merit in 1939. This is not something you want to plant unless you got some room. It can be up to 10 feet tall and 8 feet across, and it's considered a rambler. It can be trained to be a climber, but it takes up a ton of space. The blooms are fragrant. They are buff yellow to apricot, as you can see, and it also does well in shade. So if you're looking for something in shade, but I will tell you the thorns on this one are terrific. This is a beautiful one, Winter Sunset. It's a hybrid tea. And right there, it's orange and yellow. It has a mild fragrance. When it blooms, it's a double. Here's one that's pretty. That one's pretty big. And it blooms and flushes throughout the season. And it is a 3 foot by 3 foot shrub. The next one is one of my favorites. It is Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah, look at this.
And it's a floribunda. It has large double russet blooms. It's a 3 by 3 bush. It's disease resistant and 2009 All-America Rose Selection winner. And it just blooms continuously. This plant has been in the ground for only a couple of months, and it has just grown tremendously and it's bloomed the entire time. The next one is Lamarne, and it's a polyanthus, so we don't deadhead this one at all. And as you can see by the little new growth, its origins date back to 1915. It can be used as a hedge plant. It grows about 6 feet tall and 3 feet wide. You can see that the clusters, unlike the Peggy Martin, the clusters of flowers are a lot looser. They're little cups, and they have little ruffled petals on them. They're really sweet. It reblooms successfully in spring, summer, and fall, and has very few thorns. And it is also an earth kind rose, but it has no fragrance. The next one is the spectacular Dame de Cour, a hybrid tea, and it's just blooming like crazy this year. Cherry red, it's fragrant, large, full blooms, and it blooms throughout the season. It has a real thorns on it. It was originally bred in Belgium. That's a beautiful rose. Gosh. Our next one is called Coral Beauty, also a polyanthus. And it has double pink blooms. They're medium, also in little clusters. They have a mild fragrance, and it blooms spring, summer, and fall. Our last rose is called Puerto Rico. And unfortunately, Puerto Rico doesn't have any blooms on it this week, but it is a fragrance, hardy, creamy, white blooms that have kind of an apricot center. It often blooms in clusters and repeat bloomer, but it's a real tall, skinny bush. It's about 6 feet tall and no more than 4 feet across. And it's disease resistant. And that's our greenhouse roses.
Thank you very much.